This is the regular meeting of the Geneva 304 School Board for Monday, September 9th, 2024. Bonnie, will you call the roll?
Here.
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 Molly Ansari,
Here.
Stephanie Bellino,
Here.
Mary Cabine,
Here.
Dan Choi,
Here.
Jackie Ford.
Here.
I'd like to welcome all of you. We're always delighted to have people visit, whether to comment or to learn about things happening in the school district. And so with that, we will start with the pledge. The flag is right back there. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if you have a chance to sign the attendance sheet, if you'd like to, we would appreciate that. First item on the agenda is the approval of past minutes, the regular session for August 26th and the executive session August 26th. Bonnie, did you receive any corrections or additions?
No.
Are there any at this time? Motion to approve?
So moved.
Willard, and then
Second.
Dan?
Paul Radlinski,
Aye.
Molly Ansari,
Aye.
Stephanie Bellino,
Aye.
Dan Choi,
Aye.
Jackie Ford,
Aye.
Willard Hook,
Aye.
Larry Cabine,
Aye. Thank you. Recognition awards and presentations, public hearings. The number one item is the dual credit defined and delivered, and this is a summary of dual credit program at Geneva High School. And I see we have at least one person here to comment on that, so it's very fortuitous. Yes.
As Mrs. Sims gets connected, I just want to thank her for being here and all the guests who are here to talk to us about their experience with dual credit classes. This is something that has expanded a little bit over the last several years, and that, as you know, as part of our strategic plan, we're looking to investigate more deeply and see if there are areas that we can grow in this even more. So we thought it'd be important to share with everybody tonight kind of our baseline. Where are we at now? How did we get here? And then maybe starting to look towards the future. We have some awesome educators to share with us and some pretty cool students here too, it looks like. So it should be fun. Thanks, Shawnette.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share. And I will be welcoming our special guests as we go through this. So first of all, I thought it would be important to start with the benefits of dual credit courses for our high school students at Geneva High School. So through a partnership with the Illinois Community College Board, Waubonsie Community College, and College of DuPage, we are able to offer college credit-bearing courses to our students at Geneva High School. It's important to note that, this started probably 20 years ago, this conversation, and one of the things that was very important to our educators at Geneva High School was that they themselves were the ones that were licensed to teach these courses to our high school students, so that's something that has continued to this day. And then also there was some legislation passed that helped us even further with this work, because our governor signed legislation that basically any in-state public college needed to accept dual credit courses and credits earned at the high school level. How those are accepted and to what colleges they're accepted, that's up to those universities to decide, but they do have to accept those credits. So that would be important to share that. That does not, however, apply to out-of-state colleges or private Illinois colleges. They may or may not. The courses that we currently offer these 10 courses. So Advanced Earth Science, Advanced GTV News, Astronomy, Early Childhood Education, Horticulture, Intro to Teaching, Modern Mass Communication, Personal Wellness, Social Issues and Sports, and the Teaching Internship. I will share that all of the teachers that are teaching these courses are represented here tonight, minus one who is on a leave right now. The enrollment trends, when we started in 2021, we had 2 courses with 74 students enrolled. And then you'll see in 2022, we had 3 courses with 75 students, 2023, 4 courses with 94 students, 9 courses with 193 students in 2024. And this year, for the first semester, we have 10 courses with 266 students enrolled. So we are, we are happy to see that number increasing. And as Andy said, it will tie us to some other work that we're doing in the district. This slide I did change from what I originally shared with you at the board because we had actual teachers listed. And our high school administration was just wanting to ensure that we didn't leave anyone out because they believe there were probably far more that were certified. So just to share, we currently, based on the best recollection, we have 17% of our high school staff that are certificated to teach a dual credit course at the high school. How does one become eligible to teach? The main point of this is that they have to have a qualified master degree, of which at least 18 of those credit hours are in that content area. After that is achieved, then there are just some kind of perfunctory processes to go through to ensure that your license is updated with the Regional Office of Education. I would share, though, that for many of our staff that have this, they have greater than those 18 hours because they've actually sought a master's solely in that content area. How this connects to the work we're doing as a district is one of our goals in our strategic plan and our 5-year plan is to analyze and plan around the dual credit offerings at Geneva High School. So this work and what they're sharing tonight is also tied to our ongoing work as a district. So, we'll work to develop our philosophy as a community, a learning community around dual credit, audit those current offerings, seek input from stakeholders, including students, what courses they would have interest in, and then also work with our staff to ensure that they're properly licensed. So I'll move on to the most important part tonight, which are our guests from the classroom. If they brought students with them, I will ask them to introduce their students. But they've been just asked to share with you why they have elected to teach the course they do. So we'll start with Mr. Hennig from our physical education department.
Got my notes. Good evening. Thanks for having me. My name's Scott Hennig. I'm the Department Chair of Wellness at Geneva High School, and I teach a class called Social Issues in Sport. It's a newer course, started about 4 years ago, and it's an elective in our wellness department, but I think it's important to note it is not replacing an activity course. So it's like we offer personal wellness that Ms. Meister is going to talk about, some other electives. It's not replacing APF or Lifetime Fitness. It's strictly a classroom course. Why I elected to teach this course is I love sports. Grew up playing sports. I had great role models growing up, coaches, parents, my friends all played sports, and I just had a wonderful experience. But eventually you stop playing sports, right? Grow up, youth sports, travel sports. I was lucky enough to play in high school, and then I stopped. So my role in sport changed, and I think a lot of our students, they're lucky to be involved in athletics here at Geneva High School, but then when they graduate, they stop playing competitively. And what does sports look like after you stop playing competitively? And I think a lot of our students are very involved in a field that they're interested in after they're done playing. So we've seen a lot of students interested in sports marketing, administration, the management side. A lot of students are interested in going into coaching. From the high school side, we've seen a shortage in officials. So we've tried to promote some kids that get a part-time job and officiate youth sports, and that's been popular. And then just the landscape of sports has really changed. If you look at college athletics, what's going on with NIL, and just the landscape of college athletics, we look at some different topics in terms of just the history of sport, Title IX, gender equity, just some really important topics that I feel like our students need to know about and can serve them when they get into a role that I just mentioned. So this is a class that's offered second semester at Geneva High School. It's only upperclassmen. The feedback I've received from students has been fantastic. They really enjoy the conversation. We've been lucky enough to bring in some really awesome guest speakers, college professors, some graduates that are involved in some college roles when they get into college or post-college, and we've done a variety of different speakers, and they've spoken on a variety of different topics. So it's, like I said, it's a pretty new course. You know, I've asked for feedback each semester, and it's really been positive, so I'm excited about it. Each year, our enrollment has gone up in the course. I think the first year we had 15 kids, and I looked at my roster today, we have 26 kids signed up, which I think is a positive. So I'm really looking forward to it. Love to have you guys out if you want to come observe, and yeah, it's going to be another great year of social issues in sports. So thank you.
Thank you.
Speaking of sports, did anyone catch that NIU game? Mr. Shane?
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me. My name is Joe Shane. I teach Earth and Space Science at the high school. I've always, this is my 24th year teaching, and the second year I started teaching is when I began teaching the astronomy class. A few years later, was able to create the natural disasters class. I have a master's in geology and a master's in meteorology. These are great classes for me. I love what I teach. I love who I teach with. And I love working with the kids. So we're set up for victory to begin with. But as I've been going through, I've been adjuncting at NIU in geology and planetary science. I adjunct at Kishwaukee College as well, and picked up a class at Oakton over the summer. I've always seen my classes at Geneva as at or even above, in some cases, the introductory level college classes that I teach. And so I've always wanted, this has been a great opportunity for me to be able to actually give them credit where credit is due. I've always told them that after taking my classes, you're going to be able to, crush astronomy and, severe and unusual weather and those kinds of things. And now those are the classes that I'm dual credit with at Waubonsie. So I'm grateful for the opportunity, and thank you for all your support.
Thank you.
Ms. Enos?
Hi, my name is Benny Enos, and thank you for having me. I teach the broadcasting classes at Geneva. So Advanced GTV News, if you haven't seen it yet, it's the daily show that we do. It's very hands-on, so that was pretty obvious. My background was mostly broadcasting. I've been in television news for 25 years, and I also taught at Columbia College, at NIU, and at College DuPage. So the Advanced GTV class was classes that I taught at the college level, so having them come out and kind of take a look at what we do on a daily basis is very similar to what we would teach in a first year at a college anyway. So that was an obvious choice that the students who do daily programming should get college credit. The other one is a much funnier story, actually. So modern mass communication is in the communications department over at COD. So if you don't have a television background, which is through MPTV, which is motion picture and television, they usually don't approve you to do modern mass communication. And so I was told that I couldn't teach that class until I saw the name of the person who told me that I couldn't teach it. Turns out he was the person that I actually taught his class at COD when he was at sabbatical. So at that point, he said, okay, that's fine, we'll let you teach it at Geneva. So I got approved for the Intro to Mass Comm class, is what it's called at COD. At high school, it's called Modern Mass, and it's basically a look at communications, all the various mediums that we use, and the students kind of just go through. It's basically project-based more than anything else, but we look at every form of communication there is to and take a deep dive into it and how it affects communities, and that's been a really fun class. It's growing in numbers. It's only my second time teaching it, but Advanced GTV, it's been obviously 6 years now, and so that class is the one that Layla, do you want the students to speak now? Or? Okay, yep, come on up. So Layla's in my Advanced GTV class, and she is also the president of the GTV Club, and tell us why you took the class.
Yeah, my name is Layla. I'm a GHS junior, and I anchor and produce for GTV, and I'm also the president, so I have a lot of power in GTV. But I love GTV. It really motivates me every day. I love coming in, getting to see the finished product of what we do. every night, getting to see what my homework comes out to be. And then I also love knowing that I kind of have made my mark on the school. Every day people get to see what I do. Some days they get to see my face and, anchoring the show. So knowing that I get dual credit from that and I could use these credits in college to maybe graduate early and use that to go to a production studio when I'm older, or just to graduate and know that I did it is really, really nice. And I love GTV and I think it's a great class.
Thank you.
Mr. Leasitz, Mr. Anderson?
Well, good. Thank you for having us, and thank you for all your support. My name is Jason Leasitz. I've taught horticulture for over 20 years, and I tagged along this guy because he kind of started the whole program at GHS, and this year he threw all the classes at me and is teaching something else. So we're kind of the exception to the rule in horticulture. Neither one of us have a master's, but we were accepted, pursued by COD to teach the class, and then last year was the first year that it was approved by COD in the community because of, I think, both of our, what's that? Yeah, there you go. So Tom has done landscaping for many years, and I've done other construction projects, and so I think they like the hands-on that both of us brought to the table, as well as all the botany background on top of that. So we try to make the class as interactive as possible. We get out into the community and work at Western Avenue Elementary School with the kids, and then the corner of 31 and 3rd Street, we call it the Duke and Lee's Garden. The kids are in charge and responsible for taking care of that as well. So besides the stuff that goes on in the community, inside the greenhouse, we do a plant sale every year, and the kids have hands-on real-life experience working with plants, putting on the plant sale, and then getting that stuff out to a variety of venues as well. So it's a great class. I love plants. I love teaching it, and I think it's just a great opportunity to have all the students take a class like that.
Yeah, I would say anyone is welcome to come and check out the greenhouse and, see how the class functions. I'm not teaching it this year, but hopefully I'll be back teaching it again next year. And then I think the other emphasis is that we talk to the students about all the opportunities that there are in all layers of horticulture for, career possibilities, Nothing wrong with pushing the lawnmower, but that's kind of what you think about, when you think about horticulture or landscape is, like the entry-level positions. And we kind of focus on, we talk about those, but we also talk about the business side a little bit, and we get into all the advanced degrees that you can, go into. Things that, like, we talk about how if we took this class, we may not be, we might have gone into horticulture, but, years ago, they didn't have horticulture, when we were going through, but we try to use this as a springboard to really help students, see what opportunities are out there. So thanks for all your support.
Thank you.
I'm glad you both chose teaching in Geneva. I'd also share that they invite some of the second grade classrooms in to the greenhouse, and that's always a great day to hear them talk about how they ate, lettuce growing from the wall. It's more than that, but they just think it's fun to cut the lettuce from the hydroponic growing and do that. Is it October 16th? Okay, I'll put it on my calendar. Our last guest actually was the first person at Geneva High School to bring a dual credit course to Geneva High School. So, Mrs. Meester, if you'd like to come up, and you have students with you as well that when you're finished could come up and join you.
Hi, I'm Lisa Meister. I've been teaching sophomore health here since 2002, and in 2006 I proposed a new class that wasn't dual credit at the time, but it was an elective for juniors and seniors called Advanced Health. And many other districts around the area were already doing an advanced health class, and it was one of those things that we talked about the importance of continuing on the life skills that health offers for teens beyond the sophomore level. Because certainly as they're getting ready to go into college, or go life beyond high school, we need to have a more mature conversation about decision-making and some of those big things that they're going to be facing in life. So I was already teaching the advanced health course for a couple of years when Mr. Rogers, our principal, sent out an email to all the faculty saying that as a district, we have a new goal that we wanted to start taking a look at the possibility of doing some dual credit classes. And so he sent out a survey to all of our faculty asking who has a master's degree in their subject area. And I responded and said, I have a master's degree in health education. And so we started talking, and we actually had a meeting with some of the administrators from Waubonsie Community College. They talked to us about like what they were looking for as far as the requirements for dual credit, that we needed to, follow their general curriculum skeleton, their book, changed the name of our class to Personal Wellness, which aligned with their transcripts. But it was a really nice conversation in talking about the fact that students had the opportunity to earn some college credit while still having the kinds of relationships that they have with their high school teacher. And still having a little bit of, not necessarily hand-holding, but that closer relationship that you have on your high school campus while they're already trying to face the challenge of a college-level curriculum. And so that allowed them to be proud in earning some credits. The nice thing is that their grade also transfers to their transcript at college. So if they get an A in personal wellness, they're starting college with a 4.0. It's also nice, like I talk at back to school night with my parents, like of my sophomore classes that come in, and just kind of promoting personal wellness and telling them like, hey, it's a $36 tuition, for a course fee to get 3 credit hours out of the way. So financially, that helps a lot of families in Geneva as well. We do a lot of continuation of some of our topics that we talked about in sophomore health, but we also get into some things on like healthcare issues and health insurance. And, a lot of stuff that the students didn't know a whole lot about, like what is the difference between medical insurance and life insurance, and what is a deductible and what is a copay, and a lot of adults are probably, racking their brain for that. But then we also do a nice unit on health-related careers in case the kids are interested in going into the health field. And so I reached out to my past students from last year, and Declan and Ashley agreed to come join me today. They were in my spring class last semester.
Hi, I'm Ashley, and
my name is Declan. We're both seniors at Geneva High School, and we're just kind of here to talk about personal wellness.
so I took personal wellness. I've also taken early childhood education and intro to teaching. So I'm very interested in pursuing education after high school. So one of the big things for me for why I took so many dual credit classes was because it's really important for me and my family to cut down the costs of college education as much as possible. And I'm hoping that with all those credit hours that I've obtained from the dual credit classes that I've taken at Geneva, I'm able to graduate college earlier, and that would also cut down the costs. And also, I really appreciate how Ms. Meister teaches the class. It gives me a feel of what college is like. It's a more rigorous class, so it's kind of on the same line as an AP class, but it's less expensive than an AP class, so I really appreciate that.
Overall, that class was something I look forward to every single day. Mrs. Meister as a teacher and the whole class, it was 7 of us at the time of that class, and we had built a relationship outside of the classroom as well. So those people in that class, still friends with them to this day. It was great learning about health-related careers and kind of more mature topics than we talked about in sophomore health. I want to go into medicine, so this was an amazing introduction to kind of that whole field and learning about the things that I'd be doing further along in life.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you to all of our guests. Thank you to the students who were able to join us tonight. I would also share, Ms. Meister has also been like the head of the Organization for Health and Health Teachers in Illinois. She was too humble to say that, so I appreciate not only what was shared with our, staff that are teaching college-level courses in their spare time, but also leading the organizations that they serve. So, any questions for anyone or myself or our guests?
I don't have a question, but a statement. I strongly support dual credit courses. Lisa campaigned with me a little bit 2 years ago, and that subject came up more often than any other subject. I have a sister who used dual credit courses to her advantage, and she is a practicing physician at this point, just to add to Declan's point. And I have a daughter who also did that, and both my son and daughter are currently teaching college level courses.
Yes.
Well done.
One question, where do we stand as a community, as our school, versus some of our neighbors in this area? Are we a leader? Are we a follower? Does our 10 classes, is that, let's say, the average that you might find in another high school? Or are other schools offering a much wider variety of classes?
It's both. We have a lower enrollment in the courses that we offer than some of the schools around us, and we also offer fewer courses currently in Geneva than around us. And it really depends on the school district. So, for example, West Aurora, if students take advantage of it, they can actually graduate with an associate's degree. There are that many courses that are offered. And speaking to their assistant superintendent, however, the percentage that actually graduate with a full associate's degree is very small, but they have those many offerings in their school district. So,
What would be the average of a high school on the number of classes that they might offer?
15, 20?
Okay, so double what we are currently offering.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, though, we're not turning students away.
No.
It's not like we don't have enough room for students.
Nope, students are not being turned away. Mm-hmm.
Sean, I have a question in regard to promotion of dual credit classes. How do we go about doing that?
So when students meet with their counselors, they're obviously those courses are shared as options. Believe me, Mr. Rogers could probably add to some of this, but as Lisa shared, she shares it at back to school night with parents. So definitely the teachers that teach them promote it, the counselors when they meet with them. I believe probably at your 8th grade parent night and 9th grade new parent night it's discussed. I think probably what we could do a better job of messaging is the benefit of dual credit. We tend to have more of our families enroll in AP courses than dual credit. So that's probably an area that, we could.
If I could add to that, I do think one of the things we're trying to think about with this as part of our strategic plan goal is, we've got to figure out what is our philosophy as a district going to be around this. And right now, I think we have some, as you see, some real cool courses that some cool kids take. But probably most of the kids who have selected most of these courses, it's like Scott said at the beginning, there's a personal interest in this particular area or this particular topic. And we need to have some conversations around, is that the direction we want to go? And we want to have a lot of cool, unique, like pathway, career pathway courses in dual credit? Or do we want to take more of a philosophy of, we want to have some standard courses that like everybody could take?
So it is a give or take. If we are going to offer those, there are other courses we won't be offering. I mean, we can't offer the full,
So
slate
those are some of the
everything.
hard conversations we're going to have here over the next year as, at this table and the high school team and, with the community to try to figure out that part as we're looking to expand. Because the other thing, as you noted with all these awesome educators here, they have to have special licensure in many cases to be able to teach these courses. And so we're going to have to figure out who's got that and how we support teachers to get that if we, have that interest and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, sorry, were you going to go?
Go ahead.
Oh, part of my question, which I don't think you can answer right now, is like, what does it look like for average students who do take dual credit, like long term, compared to kids who maybe take AP courses? Because obviously we can hear there's a clear benefit, and I think that might apply if you have a specialty you're interested in or a certain area, but does that mean like we should be pushing kids more towards dual credit versus AP, or AP's the way to go? Just like, what does that look like long term once kids get to college? What plays out for them?
Yeah, I guess that's my question. What is the difference between an AP course? Because you can get credits on some of your core courses for certain universities versus a dual credit course.
So AP, yes, if you get the requisite score, they may accept that as one of the courses, but it doesn't erase the credit. They may just accept it, but they might find another course for you to take. Where dual credit, you actually are earning college credits that are on a transcript.
So a dual credit class, you know, you walk out with 3 credits, you've got 3 college
9
credits.
credits.
Right,
for-
in an AP.
An AP course,
You just go from math 1 to math 2.
perhaps,
Depending on
or-
what your
or-
field of study is.
Or you don't take math.
right.
Yes, and how you do on the test.
Yes.
Yeah, of course, you have to do it well in the test.
Yeah.
But, so the next question I have is, are we planning to offer any of dual credits? And these seem to be more, are we going to offer any dual credits in your core courses, let's say math, science, and, you know, basic starting college classes? These seem to be more the electives that you might take in college, rather than the core courses that you have to take.
Right.
Are we going to are we going to talk about that?
I think
or-
that's what
That'll
we
be
need to
that
talk
whole
about.
yeah.
Is that the direction we're going to go? You know,
Okay.
do we need to have that philosophy too? Can we mix and match kind of both of these things? But yeah, I do think that's the question. For example, there are some schools where most of the kids who take English senior year, it's actually a dual credit
Correct.
English class, right? There's some places that do that, some that don't.
Correct.
So we've got to talk about, is that the right thing for us or is that not the right thing for us? You have to talk in the mic, stand up and
Yeah,
talk in the
that's okay,
microphone, Benny.
We had a professional development day at COD last year, and they did talk about dual credits on their end too. So just keeping that in mind, that there's also some pushback on the college level as to how many dual credit courses they want to approve on their end as well. So that was a exactly. So on the college level, there's just keeping that in mind, especially at COD. They're not exactly there's some pushback on their end about how many teachers and the qualifications and what it requires to allow there to be much more classes offered
Yeah.
that they're going to accept.
There's candidly some
Yes.
politics in that, right? Because
Right.
it's a financial issue and they're offering their courses and they
And we
want
wanna
kids
use our
to enroll
teachers.
in their courses and have their teacher, and you understand all that, right? So that's some of the stuff you have to look at and work through.
Dr. Hooks, did you have a question?
Anything else?
It may be esoteric, but I was fascinated with the astronomy angle because and of course, what's your name? Sorry. Joe Shane. So Mr. Shane, I'm sure he knows the sun governs all our weather. And so at Northern, they have, Northern Illinois it is, they have I don't know his name. He's been on PBS several times. They've interviewed him. He's one of the experts in the field in climate and meteorology. So would the students have a course like yours? Would that be something that they could use in a department like that at Northern where they could study?
I mean, I teach in the department at Northern.
Right, right.
Earth atmosphere environment.
Yes.
That's where I got my master's. And so the class.
You got to talk at the microphone.
Sorry.
We want you to be on TV, Joe. You got hair for TV, for sure. Right, buddy. All right.
So the classes I teach at Northern, like I said, the way that, and I'm teaching a couple currently, the way that they operate is very similar to what I teach at Geneva. So even more so, I can get into more detail. I find that being able to be in a high school classroom versus a college classroom, I can do a little more, right? So not only would they be prepared and would that class transfer over, but they would be ready for the next class for sure. So, yeah.
That's fascinating, yeah.
Can I just add, thank you all for being here tonight. I think this is part of our strategic plan, and it's very insightful to hear from students and teachers what this is looking like as we think about what are the next steps, what direction do we want to go, how do we make this most beneficial for majority or as many of our students who want to participate. So thank you. It was lovely to hear from all of you.
Anything else? Well, I'll just say that I see this as an opportunity. It's an opportunity for the board to support our professional staff and grow the colleges. Those courses provide not just money saving for students, but money savings for your parents. That's not an insignificant thing. It's an opportunity for the staff to grow and improve its credentials, and that is a good thing for all of us. And for you students, it's obviously a wonderful opportunity to learn in depth things that are important in the world. So thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
We love having you, but we're sure you have dual credit
Yes.
homework and planning to do. So. Thank you guys very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gilbert Sabenti.
Thanks, Lee.
He's the meteorologist or something.
Yep.
Thank you.
I'm just going to speak about you.
We'll bring him in when there's a big weather event.
I'm going to speak about you a little bit before you get going.
A few universities that had an on-staff meeting. Give it the weather every day.
Don't be.
That's wonderful.
The best ever. Don't be.
I don't often do this, but
Oh, okay, all right. We're live.
it's not quite enough yet. But okay, the second item is annual grants update. George Petmezis.
Yeah, well, Dr. Petmezis is getting set up. I just want to thank him. This is his second year in the role as director in the Department of Learning and Teaching, and this is his first year where the grants say his name. So I want to thank him for
So any
that.
problems? Call George.
Yeah. So no, he's done a wonderful job. I just want to acknowledge that and, compliment his work and efforts.
Shawnette, you are too kind. I still direct all my questions to Shawnette. And you'll likely see that tonight. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, so I'll provide a brief update of the grants that fall under the Learning and Teaching Department. Certainly, the district has other grants that do not fall in our department. But I will specifically talk to the grants that we oversee. And so we have, I would say, 6 grants, 5 of which are will continue, and 1 that we will be retiring. So these are the grants that we kind of oversee in the Learning and Teaching Department. So I'll just kind of go through each of these, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask at the end here. If you recall, this one we are sunsetting here. We'll be done with it, and I am very happy. I think we are all happy. Hopefully, we do not have to hear about, ESSER funds, but these were dollars, if you recall, to help and reopen our schools during the COVID pandemic. So in 2022, we received about $2.6 million. Right now, we have about 13,000 left, which is all but spent. I think in the next week that will be gone. We've added some new sections. We're updating and providing literacy resources to our schools. And so we will be very happy to kind of move away from this. Sad to see the money. It was great, great dollars that we did lots of great things to. But we're happy to see this one kind of go and put into good use the resources that we've received from them. The other pretty big grant here is our ESEA of 65 grant. I will tell you this grant historically has been, if you can see here, last year we received about $411,000. This year we received about $260,000. So significantly less dollars in this grant for this year. This is kind of 3 sub grants: Title I, Title II, and Title IV. Title I is for designed to assist eligible students achieve proficiency on academic achievement standards by providing supplemental supportive services here. So this is really targets 3 of our schools: Geneva High School, Geneva Middle School North, and Harrison Street School. These are schools that qualify as what we call targeted assistance, really students that have low income. And we really use these funds to support our students in a variety of ways, everything from salaries to reading tutors. Our middle schools have math and writing labs that we support with tutoring. We utilize these funds also to provide resources to each of these schools to help support the students that they serve. Also, a part of this helps with homeless transportation. There's a small bit of that. So that's Title Title II is earmarked more for the professional development of personnel and retention and recruitment of staff. And you'll also notice that in each of these, there's also a non-public component that we share with our two private schools, which is St. Peter's and Mancio Montessori. So each of these grants, we do share a portion of these dollars with them. It's not much. It's about, I would say, no more than $5,000 in total. Title II, we look at the development of personnel. So when we look at PD, this is mostly where our professional development money comes from. Title IV works with what the state says is well-rounded, safe and healthy, and technology. So we utilize a lot of these funds to have our mutual grounds, Aaron's Law presentations at all of our schools. Any software subscriptions, this is kind of where we pull that money from. And any other supplemental resources that we need. So that's our ESEA of 65 grant that we have. Another grant that we work with is our Career and Technology Education Grant. We have roughly around $55,000 allotted to us in that grant, and that supports our career and technology education courses, not only at the high school to provide resources and supplies to make these courses run, but we also provide money to our elementary and our middle school programs to provide any resources, library books, any type of assemblies or speakers that come out to talk about career and technology. And we also, another part of this is the Perkins Grant. It's not much. I think of that 55 is maybe 20,000. And that goes to cover a partial salary of the career counseling position that we have at Geneva High School. Another grant that we have is the Language Instruction Educational Program grant, and this really serves to support our English language learners. And we use these funds for professional development specifically related to English language learners and any software subscriptions that would benefit those learners in the classroom. Another one also, this is not really a grant, it's just funding that's provided to us from the state, evidence-based funding for ELL. We have about $19,000 in this grant for us, and 60% of that is utilized for staffing and curriculum needs, but we've also used this to help with translation services, professional development, and to hold our bilingual parent advisory committee meetings where we invite students and families to these meetings to learn about the services that we have here, and we provide snacks for them, and we really try to bring out speakers and other community resources to share with them the resources that are available not just within our school system but within our larger community as well. And the last one here, we get a small library grant from the Secretary of State's office, which gives us about $600 per school. And our librarians don't forget about this one. They email us every year asking, hey, are we getting our $600? And
a lot of cool books out there.
Yeah, they go and fill our libraries every year with what they need. So that is a quick rundown of all of our grants here. This is kind of all of them in one snapshot here, and we do, I feel, a pretty good job in spending these down and tracking people down and reminding them they have money, and if we let them know they have money, they do a good job of spending it and doing some pretty cool things for students overall.
Thank you. Any questions?
I have one.
Go ahead, Jackie.
Regarding the ESSER funds,
yes,
I have heard and read that some school districts had spent the money in a different way, and perhaps now that the funding is going away, they're going to have to scale back some of the things that they had been offering. Is that the case with us, or did we kind of plan ahead, and if we paid for staff support to do something, we're not?
Yeah, I think we were very thoughtful in how we would spend those ESSER funds, in that when they ran out, we wouldn't notice a loss of any type of service that our students would receive. A lot of our resources went to, curriculum resources for students. So I think, generally speaking, I would say no to that question. I don't think we're going to see any loss or things that, we'll lose as a result of not having these funds anymore.
Thank you.
Right. Yeah, correct. And as Mrs. Sims stated, any additional staff that we had used that money for, that was to support us during that time of COVID. So those, obviously, we're back in session now, and we don't need that extra staff support.
Thanks. It's good news.
Yeah.
That is good news. Yeah. Any other questions? Thank you for your good stewardship.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Next is what is rapidly becoming one of my favorite parts of the evening, is the public comments. And I think Kelly Borgi is
You
number
never
one.
said my parts are your favorite.
If you'd approach the mic,
Kelly.
Ms. Borgi.
You're up.
Good evening, everybody. There's quite a few more people here than last time, so I'm glad a few folks cleared out here. But my name is Kelly Borgi. I am born and raised in Geneva. Went through the Geneva school system, so did my husband, and now we're raising our 3 kids here. And I'm here to talk about something that you've heard before, but I feel really passionate, and I'd like to share a few more things on it. So I have read the cell phone and electronic device policies for our district, and I'm here to reiterate that I do not think they're enough. There are so many nuances identified in each policy that it can be hard to determine what's acceptable and when. It reminds me of a meaningful expression, standing on a whale and fishing for minnows. Sometimes it's better to do one big thing rather than many small things. And sometimes the big thing is unnoticed, but right underfoot. I believe that mobile devices and social media are the whale for our students, loud and clear. We need to create a distraction-free learning environment for our kiddos to thrive. The learning environment includes classrooms, hallways, lunch, and any other period of time between the first and the last bells of the school day. Now, as I was reading those policies, I highlighted each of the concepts I believe to be the minnows here. And aside from the administrative burden on teachers and staff, there has to be a reason they're called out specifically, such as inappropriate photos in the locker rooms, cheating on schoolwork, or cyberbullying. Let's stop this from happening in the school environment by banning smart devices during the entire school day. Now, I'd also argue that the zero tolerance of smart devices throughout the day would free up teachers' time versus patrolling what is considered authorized use in each classroom. Sure, it may take some extra time as the new policies are rolled out, but after that, I do believe it would have a more positive impact on a teacher's workload than a negative one. From my experience, some believe that the existing policy is being followed in each of the classrooms and that the examples of the opposing parents that we're sharing are the exception. Even if I bought into that logic, there is room for improvement to allow our kids the space to be kids, to remove the distraction of phones and allow them to socialize face-to-face with their peers, allow them to take a breath between classes without checking their phone, to laugh and seek out new friendships at lunch and be the type of kiddos that we were growing up in this school district when our faces weren't tilted down at our phones. There is hard data to support how detrimental this is to our youth to have access to smart devices during the school day. I'm asking you to please assemble a diverse group of stakeholders to update this policy for the well-being of our students. If we know better, we have to do better. Before I wrap up, I wanted to share a document. Colleen's going to help pass it up. There's a group of passionate parents like myself, and I know you've heard from a couple of us, so we wanted to summarize a mission statement and be crystal clear on what we're hoping for our future. she's passing it out, and I'll get started. Our mission is to advocate for the health and well-being of all District 304 students by promoting a ban on the use of smart devices in educational settings. We believe that a technology-free environment fosters better focus, enhances social interaction, and supports the overall development of our children. Together, we strive to create a safe and nurturing learning atmosphere that prioritizes the needs of our students. So there are 3 key proposed policy changes that we've been discussing. The first is no access to smart devices from the first bell to the last bell for all grades in our district, pre-K 3 through 12. This includes passing periods, lunch, and recess. 2, smart devices would include smartphones, watches, AirPods, and any other communication device that is not issued by District 304. And 3, to have clear, actionable consequences for students who break these rules. I'll email this to you guys because there are hyperlinks to each of the policies and the page where they can be found, along with a link to The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt. It provides a lot of data and a lot of resources for educators and administration. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You just made your 5 minutes, by the way.
Nice work.
So, Stephanie Amore.
I can't plug in here, can I?
No.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah.
I printed out a picture. All right. Okay, so this is my 3rd time here. I feel like we're fast friends, everybody on the board. Again, my name is Stephanie Amore. I have 2 kids in Williamsburg Elementary School, and I am here, like Kelly, to talk to you about cell phones in school. And so this is my 3rd attempt at having the conversation. And recently, I'll share with the board, because you're not privy to this, Andy and I actually had a conversation last Wednesday. I'm here to thank Andy for the conversation. I don't think that would have happened with our last superintendent. I shared that with you as well. And I also just appreciate having the dialogue. It's much more impactful than this system of a board meeting. Having said that, I still think there's a lot of room for change with Geneva. I fully support everything that Kelly said, and I think District 304 can do better. As Stephanie Bellino mentioned in her last comments at the board meeting, District 304 has information regarding cell phone policies in section 6220. And I'm here to tell you tonight that there is a lot of room for improvement. I share with you this image. I have it on my computer, so I'm just going to show you. And if you can't see it, it is a little kid in the 70s holding a cigarette while his mom, and I just found this so to today's date, zippering the coat, hold my cigarette. And I saw it online, and I read the comments underneath, and it said, hang on, we act based on what information we have at the time. We can reverse phone-based childhood now as we have the new information if we act together. I'll also share just a personal experience that I ran into after our last board meeting. Just 2 weeks ago, after the board meeting, I ran into a teacher who will remain anonymous. She stated that she had just fully supported the phone-free schools, and just that day, she had a kid have a smartwatch that was distracting in the classroom. Her experiences, she didn't know what action to take, so the policies in 6220 aren't doing what they're meant to do. Also, Jackie, 2 board meetings ago, you mentioned that kids have burner phones in the caddy. I would say that our policies, that's not working. I challenge the Board of Education and the superintendent, honestly, to survey the teachers anonymously. I think that's how you get fair feedback. I think, Ms. Larry, you mentioned you'd love to hear from student and teachers. That's doable by the Board of Education, by Andy. I don't know whose responsibility that would be. You guys have a much broader audience than I do working with teachers. So I think if you survey teachers anonymously, you'll get actual results and feedback without singling a parent or a student out or a teacher out. Like I said, 6222 isn't working, and there's still a lot of work to be done. I share this, I might have shared this with you, Andy. In my line of work, we coin feedback as a gift. Not people always on the receiving end of feedback think it's a gift, but I truly believe that it is a gift. And so District 304 can do a lot better job of communicating words buried inside a handbook are not as impactful as reaching out to the community, educating them on policies, and really taking a look at them. I will share, I'm a Williamsburg. This is not to call our principal out. Any of the teachers, they do a lovely job with what they can. I have had 0.0 communication on cell phones, smartwatches, devices come out of Williamsburg Elementary School. So I definitely do just encourage the board to continue the conversation, continue learning, researching, looking at the facts. And I encourage the communication on the topic to just continue, as I'm sure it's doing, because it keeps gaining traction the more weeks that go on every school year. Thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank
And
you.
I still have my cough, if anyone cared.
You're in. Jesse Young.
Thanks, Stephanie.
Good evening. My name is Jessie Young. I am a parent of 2 current high schoolers and a recent graduate. I am not here to talk about the cell phone policy. I am here to talk about dual credit. I come at it from 3 perspectives. I graduated a really long time ago, but I was able to graduate with 12 college credits, so I had a whole semester done. And even though I went to college when it's cheaper than it is today, to graduate a full semester earlier saved my family a lot of money. I grew up in Wisconsin. We started our family in Minnesota, where dual credit and post-secondary option is like free lunch. It is available to all students. It is wide-ranging, and many kids in our home district in Minnesota graduated with an associate's when they graduated from high school. That is a phenomenal opportunity. When we moved here, I was saddened to see what limit there are. I now have another hat. I work at Waubonsee Community College. I'm the coordinator of testing services at the Sugar Grove and Plano campuses, and I see 90% of the dual credit students who have to place into the college level class. This is not taking a high school class and hoping that they're going to give you college credit. You have to prove as a high school student that you can take the class. And then after they do that, they take the class. And there's a lot of advantages. Certainly when I took calculus for dual credit, I had a whole year. So I had 40 weeks of calculus instead of 16. And I still did all the work, but boy, second semester calculus in college was much more manageable when I had had 40 weeks to learn it, the basics. I had the same for Spanish and English. So as I look at a senior who's not going to get the opportunity to take any of these dual credit classes, because Geneva very much has an AP track for kids who do well academically. And I have a freshman who's in that line as well. And so as much as I love astronomy, he's not going to take astronomy. He's going to take honors biology. He's going to take AP chemistry. And those are classes that they can get dual credit in. To superintendent's point, you do have to pick a philosophy, but you don't only have to have one. And to Paul's point, we are quite behind. I test hundreds of students at Plainfield, Oswego, Batavia. And Plainfield has many, many AP courses and many, many dual credit courses. I brought the Waubonsee Community College catalog. It's really boring read, but on page 90, it has what they call the IAI major courses. IAI stands for the Illinois Articulation Initiative. That is every college course that has an articulated high school equivalent. And Waubonsee offers 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, over 50. So it's great that we have 10, but we are missing 3 of the most important. We're missing statistics, that all kids who are going to get, and I should say young adults that are going to get an associate's or a non-science-based degree need statistics. We're missing calculus, which all students who are going to get a 4-year science-based degree need. And we're missing English 101, which every student, regardless of getting an associate's or a bachelor's at any college in the United States, needs. The biggest thing is an AP course might get my kid college credit, maybe. Doesn't get them a grade, and costs me over $250 by the time I pay for the course fee and I pay for the test. A dual credit course costs me $36. That's $12 a credit. And most of the textbooks you don't have to pay for at Waubonsie because we have open resource, OER, open educational resources. Most of our classes have online resources you don't even have to buy a book for. So as I look at my graduating senior, he is going to graduate with the seal of biliteracy, which is great. That's going to get him credits, but he's not going to get 101 and 102, which he could have had done by now, and he's not going to have calculus. And I just think if you summarize or sum up the credits you can get with the seal of biliteracy, 101, 102, and a math course, you have a full semester. And I am looking at putting 3 kids through college. Many of you are looking at that as well or more. And that is in-state, $35,000, $40,000 a year, and out-of-state, even more. So if you can save me 1 semester by investing in some of those basic core classes that you need regardless of an associate's or a bachelor's, you are doing a great service to families in Geneva. So I would just really encourage you to think about that. And I've spent a lot of time with Dan McDonald. He's the Director of High School Partnerships at Waubonsie. Write that name down. He is willing, he wanted to come tonight, but his son had a soccer game. He's willing to meet with teachers, with administration, to go over requirements, what that looks like, how districts do multiple philosophies of the cool classes and the basics. And just what a great opportunity it is. And I'm so thankful, as I wrote to the superintendent a year ago. Thank you so much for putting this on your radar. I really appreciate it. And maybe by the time my freshman's a senior, there'll be some. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Young. I think you can tell where I stand, and I will look forward to your assistance when we get working on these courses. That completes the public comments, unless there's someone who feels they have something to say that they haven't submitted a form. Yeah, I could use a little help with that too. Thank you. Legislative updates are next. Jackie?
Yes, I've been looking to see if anything has been passed. Is this working? Okay, good. If anything has been passed that was on the governor's desk, maybe he didn't sign it, but it does automatically get passed. And there is one bill of note, House Bill 5057. This was the bill that would hopefully help with the teacher shortage that allowed teacher or potential teachers to pass just certain sections of the content area test. So they did not have to pass the entire test every single time they took it. So if they only missed one content area, now they're able to just take that content area separately to pass. So that was one item that did make it now as a public act. The veto session, I looked to see when that is, and it is November 12th through 14th and 19th through 21st. That are the days where the sessions, they're back in session, and sometimes there's business done, sometimes there isn't. Generally, there are nothing new is submitted at that time, but you never know what will happen. So at this point, I don't know that there's much else to update until we get to the veto session in November.
Thank you very much. Superintendent's report.
Thanks. So I have a few things to cover tonight, potentially a little bit longer than usual, but I think some topics that are important for us to dig into a little bit here. First, later in the agenda, there is the full report from Dr. Kofran in our demographic study. It's many, many pages and a lot of data to sift through, and so I thought it would be important to kind of try to pull some of the key facts and kind of major takeaways out of this to share with everybody. So, his analysis included, as I shared with you previously, geocoding all of our enrollment data by actual parcel across the whole district, right? He did an analysis of district attendance and in all the planning areas that go into our district. He reviewed 5 years of birth rate data, and he built a cohort projection model and cohort survival rates to make some pretty impressive projections. So I want to share the projections for the district and then by each level with you here, and then share 3 charts that are kind of buried deep in the middle of the report, but that I think will be helpful for us as we start to plan and move forward. So, the overall district projections here, we talked a little bit about this at a previous meeting. Remember that, he runs like a Monte Carlo model to get the high and the low, but then we get the mid, and he uses his more sophisticated calculations with the cohort survival rate, the 5-year birth data, and all that, more advanced analysis to get the snapshot number. And ideally, it's nice to see the snapshot number look close to the mid. So as you can see district-wide here, you see here's where we were in 17-18, about, about 5,700 kids. Here's where we are now, and if you look somewhere between the mid and the snapshot number, his analysis would say that, say, 10 years from now, we'd be looking about or a little bit higher than we are right now. And that generally follows the same pattern, obviously, at each level, right? So at elementary, you're looking at the same thing. 17-18, we were about 2,400 elementary students, came down a little bit, and you see a pretty decent plateau there is what would be expected based on his, the cohort survival rates and that 5-year birth rate data. Middle school, obviously, because, it's a lagging indicator, right? Because those kids have to come in at kindergarten and then go through. So you see that number, we're likely to see more of a decline over the next several years with our middle school numbers, and then see that plateau happen, right? Because our current elementary class sizes are smaller than our middle and high school class sizes. We've talked about this before. So you're going to see a little more decline over the next several years, and then we'd see that plateauing with a potential small increase. And then high school, you'll still see it here. Again, here's where we were, just about 2,000 kids in 17-18. We've come down to around this, 1,700-ish number, and then you'd see us go up and then down, and then theoretically back up. That up is from, again, his analysis, both of where our current middle school classes is and some potential move-ins based on his observation of the data. So those are, that's like the general big idea. But then the next place we're going to go into that I thought would be really important, and this was the big aha for me from his findings. So there's 3 charts in here. I think they're, I'll tell you the page number in a minute, but I'll show them to you in the presentation here. One of the things that's really going to help us take, I think, the next step in our analysis is looking at these 3 numbers. The first, the number of residences per attendance area in the district, right? So we can actually look at how many actual total homes that someone could live in are within each attendance area. Now remember, we have just one high school, so there's only one attendance area for the high school, and at the middle schools we have our balanced enrollment model, so we can basically take all the kids and divide them evenly. It's really the elementary attendance areas we're looking at. But then, and this is important, and I think something that we don't always think about, especially some conversations I've had with some folks recently. So first we want to look at those number of residences by attendance area, and then we want to look at what's the percentage of housing occupied by students in each one of those attendance areas, okay? because one of the assumptions might be, well, there's 1,000 houses in this district, and in this boundary, and every one of those houses is going to send 5 kids. That means we're going to have 5,000 kids. That's not generally how it works, and he uses, he analyzes all the data to then look at what's the percentage of housing over time that we see occupied by students, and then the third number is in each of these houses, how many students does each of those houses generally send to the district? And it's a combination of these 3 numbers that we're going to have to look at here over the next several years to start making decisions. So the first chart, it's table 11 in the document, and you can already see some discrepancies in there, right? So if you check out this bottom number, this is how many total residences in each elementary school attendance area, right? So you see Williamsburg has a total of 3,200 potential homes a child in our district could live in, right? Western has 1,800, Mill Creek 1,500, Heartland 1,600, Harrison 2,700, and Fabian 888, okay? So right there, you start to see some of the things that we're trying to take a look at, right? But then, remember, it's the next step. So first we know how many residences there are, and then we want to see what is the percentage of residences in each of those areas that typically, historically, would send kids to us. And that's another interesting number to take a look at. So if you look at the next one, this is table 13, you see that generally speaking, overall, only somewhere between 20 and 25% of the residences within our district have school-aged children in them at any given time, right? So, and that makes sense, honestly, probably if you think about your block, right? So you think about your block, and there's, some older families, some younger families, some families that don't have kids, and so you're looking at about, that somewhere between 20 and 25%. Now, in our district, most of the majority of the homes would be considered either residential, just plain residential, or single-family homes. So that number is about 26%. But then we can also look at that broken out by our current attendance areas, and you actually see, all of our elementary school attendance areas somewhere between 18 to like 25% of the residences in each of those areas typically send kids to our school district. Then you take a look at the next chart, which is what's the average number of students that each of those residences that has kids sends. And it's a little interesting too, right? Because you look at Williamsburg, which had the most number of households in our district, but it has a slightly lower percentage, and it also has a lower number of kids per house, right? So the average house that has kids in the Williamsburg area sends about 1.8 kids to our school. Whereas over here, if you look at Mill Creek, the average home that sends kids to school in Mill Creek sends 3.4 kids to school. So you can start to see, I think, if you look at all these numbers and analyze all these numbers and try to put them together, how, this can help us start to plan for the future. And that's really what we want to try to do. And this data is going to be helpful as we think about one of the next things I'm going to talk about, which is the proposed development out west. So hopefully that was helpful and some context. Those were the big ahas to me as I tried to kind of synthesize that big document. His kind of key takeaways for us were to say first, we've talked about this before, aging in place and gentrification of downtown have increased the district's median age. We're not surprised by that. We've been talking about that, right? So the district's median age is higher, less kids theoretically come into the district. We know enrollments have declined. We know that we have imbalanced attendance areas at the elementary level. Overall, based on birth rate data and historic projections, we would expect our enrollment to decline slightly over the next few years, and then start to increase again a little bit beginning 31, 32. Bless you. then this last part is the big piece, right? All of this data is based on everything that we knew up until this summer and did not include the proposed development out west, right? So that has important implications, and that's what I want to talk about next. So are there any questions or comments about the demographic study portion?
You're good.
Okay. Thanks. Okay. Okay, so when we get to the proposed Charles Farm development, we talked about this last time. I thought I'd share a little bit more information with you, especially in light of the demographic study results that we just reviewed. Again, this is a proposed Pulte development in the northwest corner of our district. They have submitted a concept plan. Pulte's submitted their concept plan to the city of St. Charles with an annexation proposal. And then this is based on the current proposal, the exact number of homes that they would send that would be within the boundaries of Geneva 304. So there would be 546 single-family homes that would send kids to Geneva and 198 townhomes that would theoretically send kids to Geneva.
Potentially.
Potentially. Right. Remember, again, you got to think about that percentage,
Yeah,
right?
that's what I was thinking.
So townhomes.
So would we assume that it would be around the 20% that is the average of the district, or that's not safe to say?
Yeah, I think what we would do, that's why I wanted to share this previous data. That's why I think this data is so important. I think one of the things we would do is we would try to take a look at that area and use some of the data that we already have and be able to apply it, right? So we would do that same thing. What would we expect out in that region to be the typical number of homes that would send kids? And then about how many kids would we expect that to be, right? So
Go ahead, Larry.
It would be very interesting to see what the age of the unit has to do with what probability of sending students. New homes clearly are more likely to have new parents.
Correct.
And more kids.
Correct.
Well, and
might
also,
you might want to look at, compare it more with what you have in Fabian and Mill Creek.
Correct.
Because
Right.
those are your new
Correct.
subdivisions that have gone in. They have, in all cases, a much higher
Correct.
number of
Students per.
and
Correct.
also number of the percentages.
Exactly.
So
And-
those would be the ones you'd really want, because things such as the western, those are more old residential neighborhoods
Right, they've been
where you don't have a lot of new houses, and because of the gentrification, those costs are higher.
and in this single family number, that's not including the Del Webb section, correct?
Correct, yeah.
So
This
we'd
number
also-
is all non-Del Webb.
So we'd have to factor in that probably, not completely, but probably less 55 and older would be in the non-Del Webb, since there is a Del Webb section available. And that's not going to be 100%, but
Right.
so it might up
Right.
those numbers a little
It
bit.
could. I mean, that's why I wanted to share those three
Yeah,
charts with
just
you
different
before we looked at this, right?
I have a quick question.
Go ahead, Jackie.
In the report, does he define what is residential and what is single family? Because he has those broken
they're
out.
broken out. I asked him about that. So part of that has to do with the reporting body that reports that data.
Oh, how
So it's, to him, residential might be interchangeable with single family. Because if you take a look at some of those charts, you'll see like it reports Mill Creek as just residential and not single family. But obviously, those are all residential single family homes, right? You will note, I think originally we anticipated there were apartments as part of this. Those have been
Oh, it wasn't
removed
in there.
from the project proposal, so no apartments. So again, you've seen these. I don't need to go into great detail, but the purple dotted line is the Del Webb portion. The red line is the boundary between Geneva and St. Charles School District, so anything above that would be St. Charles School District, and anything below that red line would be Geneva School District. All of this would be Del Webb, and then all of this is different residential communities. That's what would contribute the 546 single-family homes and 100 whatever townhouses, right? And then remember, the phases are important to this, right? Because this is a like 15-year project that wouldn't come to fruition until 2039. And, you know, it would basically move southwest is, I think, the best way to say it, right? Like they would start up here and move this way in terms of working through those phases. So the concept plan was presented to the St. Charles Plan Commission last week. It was an informational meeting. No votes were taken. There was a lot of public comment, and a lot of insights were shared by folks. We've tried to gather some more information and ask for some more information from the developer. I want to, you know, put a star or a caveat on this. Obviously, there are a gajillion, that's a technical term, a gajillion variables, right, that go into all of this. And so this is based on some analysis that I think is pretty well grounded, but also a million things can change, right? But so based on that, here's what we do think. We think projections of around 500 to 700 students could come to the school district over the course of the complete project, right? That would be at full build out, which would be 2039. Dr. Kofran has taken a quick look at this. He would tend to agree with those numbers as well. So somewhere around there, and I think important to note that that's K-12, right? So remember, we looked back at those charts. That wouldn't be, well, now all of a sudden we're trying to fit 700 kids in the high school, right? Theoretically, they would be divided, you know, probably, you know, elementary, middle, and high school is how that would work, right? So and I guess I would also add quickly, we believe that based on that number, the numbers you've seen with our enrollment decline, even with some of the ways that we've kind of changed things, we think that number could be accommodated in the district as it currently exists. We'd have to adjust some things, and we'll talk about that, but we think that number of students could be accommodated if that was actually the correct number. The preliminary financials look net positive for the district, especially considering, you know, how large that Del Webb is, right? Ultimately, you'd be looking at hundreds of millions of dollars worth of new real estate that would come onto the tax rolls, and you'd see, you know, millions of extra dollars each year coming in tax revenue, and obviously we would need to spend more to support those students, but if you do some of the basic math, it looks like it would be net positive. In other words, we would get more revenue and tax revenue from the entire development than we would theoretically be spending as a per pupil expenditure for the students, if that makes sense. Again, this is all with my asterisk of there's a lot we don't know. I think this goes without saying, especially with some of the things we've already been talking about, but elementary boundaries would need to be adjusted to make all of this work. The entire subdivision as it exists right now, if it was approved, would fall in the current boundaries for Mill Creek Elementary School. That can't happen, right? So you'd have to do some adjusting there. And I do think it's fair to say, and for us at this table to think about, additional facility needs could be a consideration long term. I don't think you wouldn't need a new school, but could there be some additions that are needed? You know, I mean, we're using our spaces a lot differently than we used to. So could there be some things like that that are needed down the road? It's possible, and I think we have to acknowledge that. Yeah, more buses. I mean, there's a lot of additional things we would need to make all of this work. So that's where we're at for now on this. My understanding is that the St. Charles Plan Commission has extended their opportunity both for folks to make public comment and to provide feedback to them until sometime in October. It was supposed to have been done earlier. They've extended this out a little bit, I think, based on some of the feedback that they've gotten. But this is still rolling. I would share with you all and with the community, and this will be on the in the board book as well. These are here's QR codes for two separate web pages that I think have a lot of information about this. The staff report for the staff of St. Charles. It's very detailed and thorough. And if people are interested, they could look at that, or just go to the web page that has a lot of information about the project as well. So before I move on, are there questions or comments about this subject? Nope.
I think the only thing I'll add is the Plan Commission staff report. That is standard, that municipalities put together this report that gives the details and the facts of what the project is and what's doing it. It's not just for this type of project, it can be a zoning change. So I encourage people to read that. It talks about, I just pulled it up, that proposals started for this land back in 2001, so this is nothing new. But it does talk about what the neighboring communities have in their comprehensive plans, which is what their vision is for this land and what they had looked for there. So it has a lot of details in there. It can be a little bit technical, but I think overall, if you spend a little time reading through it, you'll get a lot of good information. And then that project information page just has links to some of the other documents that they had available in the agenda packet at that September 4th meeting if you didn't make it there.
Andy, just one question about the 500 to 700 student projection. Does that factor in, since we have an older community right now who's residing in place, that they might move to that Del Webb area and open up housing for families in our area? Like, is that part of the projection, or?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't think it does. And, I've had that conversation with some folks before. I actually had that conversation with our counterparts in St. Charles School District, who are also reviewing some of this, right? And there is that possibility, right, that theoretically, if they build that thing and it's the Del Webb component, maybe there's folks who live in Geneva proper who would move that way, and then that opens up some houses here that could become residences that students live in.
Yeah.
Something we'll have to look at.
But it's kind of logical because as you get older, closer to retirement, you downsize. I mean, we're already talking about that.
I will say, if you look at, if you go to both of these pages, you can see some of the proposed homes.
Right.
Wouldn't be downsizing for me.
Not a downside.
I mean, holy moly, some of these houses are monsters.
Is that right?
There's some very nice large homes.
Wow. For the Del Webb.
Some.
No, Del Webb that large?
For sure.
Really?
Well, we'll check that out.
But they
So
still-
you should
they
check it
still
out.
can't
You
have
should check it
kids.
out.
No.
Makes me wish I took statistics.
Yeah. Okay, good for now?
Yep.
Okay, one more. Don't leave.
There's
Okay.
more.
Want to talk with you guys before you go. I did want to give another update on the cell phone practices and kind of where we're at and what we've been up to here. And I would agree with everything, I would agree with what Stephanie said about a conversation is better. This type of venue does not lend itself to that, where it's just folks make comments to us, and I appreciated having that conversation with Stephanie, and I've had conversations with several folks, and I'm certainly willing to continue. So I do think those conversations are helpful in that regard. And so one of the things that I will say I candidly heard and appreciated as some of the feedback and some of the conversations I had was I think I could have done a better job of communicating what we're trying to do and what we tried to do as the school year started this year. And I think that's something I want to talk about. So, I heard this evening, the point about minimizing distractions in the classroom and to learning, and I think that's our district's philosophy as well. That's what we are trying to do with this, right? We want to minimize those distractions in the classroom and to learning. And so, I want to make sure people know when we say our practices are the same that they have been last year, that is technically true, but we also have made an intentional effort to like redouble our efforts on this thing. Our administrators and our entire administrative team talked this summer about this topic in some of our summer training and leadership sessions. And so we had the formal conversation as that team to say, we've got to kind of double down on this and really make sure we're holding everybody accountable for our expectations, which again are at elementary and middle school. If you have a phone, it's often in your locker during the school day, and at the high school, stored in the caddies. And I know at the high school, they've redoubled their efforts on that as well, both with, the staff and then trying to communicate with students about that. I do think we would also agree and acknowledge there is a component of this that is about our expectations and accountability. I think when I've been talking with some of our teachers recently about this, it's been about we're trying to be intentional about saying while we're learning, we don't have those devices, we don't have those tools, and we're trying to help kids build routines and habits. That's part of what that pocket chart is for, right, at the high school. So it goes in there. I'll be candid and say, I don't think we can discipline our way out of this challenge. I think we want to kind of build those habits in kids that while we're learning, you're not using this thing. And I do know that our teachers are trying real hard to do that as well. That being said, too, I do want to be honest about we're constantly reflecting about this and saying what's working, what's not, how can we improve. We've done that. That's why we've had the conversations this summer. That kind of gave us a more directed approach this year than, last year our practices were the same, but we were maybe not as consistent. Are we perfectly consistent now? No, but I think we're on a continuum trying to move that direction and trying to be more consistent. We're going to continue to reflect on that. And then last thing, I do think we're going to have opportunities for ongoing community engagement. As you know, Sandy Menisco has helped us, secure some speakers. Can we have people in to talk about this subject? I've had some good conversations with folks about some of the skills and strategies, some of the ways we could educate folks about this subject. And I think we want to try to do some of that over the course of the year as well. So we are trying, and we're going to keep reflecting on the subject. So thanks for staying. That's all I have.
What?
I know.
Well, thank you for that excellent report covering information I think we all need to know and research. Item 7 is board dialogue topics. There is nothing under that item. Item 8, work study topics and future action consideration. Those are mostly reviews and updates, but is there anything to add or are there any questions on this item?
No, they should be pretty self-explanatory, mostly reviewed, no big changes. You could always reference our last policy meeting if you have any, but you can also ask us. Obviously, we'll help out, but no big changes this time around.
Anything else? Okay, that's the first reading. Item 9, information. That's just a few little items. Board meeting presentation schedule, FOIA requests, and board correspondence. Demographic and enrollment projections. We've pretty much beaten that to death, I think, for today. And this is for information-only discussions, not required, but if anybody has any.
With the demographic study, is that available for anybody to see now? that
Yes,
it's posted here?
absolutely.
So anybody can go online and
Absolutely.
Great,
Yep.
great.
Yep.
Anything else? Okay. The consent agenda, formerly a long item, now much abbreviated. Thank you for that. Item 1, personnel report, resignations, retirements, leave request changes, and assignment FTE, new hires and support staff resignations. Disposition, item 2, disposition of executive session minutes for January 24th through June of 24. Item 3, technology asset disposal. Item 4, proposed construction management services. And item 5, ProCare client services agreement. Any questions or discussion on that? Otherwise, I'll take a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Aye.
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 Aye. Next item, board member comments and reports. Let's start down there with Stephanie.
Great. Well, last week I got to attend, or over the past couple of weeks, attend a couple of curriculum nights, back to school nights. One was at the high school where it was great to get to meet a lot of different teachers, kind of walk in the shoes of my student. But also I think it was a great example for the cell phone policy. All the teachers talked about it. They showed us the caddies. They talked about how their students help hold each other accountable and say, hey, you forgot to put your cell phone in the caddy. Some teachers take attendance by the caddy, and it was just really a really open conversation, or a really great conversation around how the teachers are utilizing it in what felt like a different way this year. My student is a sophomore. So last year I did hear some chatter about that at curriculum night too, but it was clearly different, as in a new focus. Like one teacher said, I love this new way we're focusing on it. This is what we're doing, and really the students are all on board with it too. So it just kind of felt like we were working together in this one way, which was really nice to hear, and a great opportunity to not only get to attend curriculum night and get to see the teachers, get to hear about what's going on. In addition to what we heard tonight, it was just really exciting to hear about all the great things in the schools, but also how some of what we're talking about at these meetings, and maybe some concerns of some parents, how that might look when we get to the high school level. I also got to talk to several different stakeholders about the cell phone issue, because some just casually, not even like knowing that I was on the board, we started discussing it because they're like, I'm hearing buzz about this. I'm really worried about it because for their family, a stricter policy would be detrimental for them. And the reason for that is their business, not mine, but it just really made me understand that like there's many different perspectives on the cell phones, and we're trying to create distraction-free learning environments, and I think we're working really hard on that this year and changing up some of the things that we had done in years past. But I know me personally, I want to be respectful because I know my own personal needs, my family needs with devices, and I know everyone's is a little bit different. But in addition, I got to attend a Theater Boosters meeting last week. They're underway with all their productions for the year. There were 4 announcements. You could always check it out on Instagram, but the musical will be Seussical, in case anybody's interested. But the first production will be October 4th and 5th, and that's the freshman-sophomore play, so that is the Great American College Tour. I'm not familiar with that one, but should be interesting. Also, there was a Music Boosters meeting during our last meeting, and although I did not attend, I will share, because I may be chairing this committee, there are mums on sale as a fundraiser right now, so feel free to go to musicboosters.com and buy some mums before the end of the week.
Is that a competition with the horticulture people?
Listen.
Are you going to throw down with?
See, we all stay in our own lanes, right? And then lastly, I was able to attend the football game, got to hear the band, see the dancers, the cheerleaders, and of course watch some football. But it was really exciting this week. Our 8th graders performed with the band, so just nice to see how our programs kind of come together, and we're trying to get those kids involved early into some of our high school programs. That's it.
Thank you, Stephanie. Willard?
Yeah, attended the Fabian Elementary PTO meeting last week. This was somewhat transformative, I should say, for myself personally, because my wife and I moved to Mill Creek in 2002 amidst all the dust and dirt and roads that hadn't been completed. And so for those who know, that was a barn there before the school was there. As I said to the board, the PTO board, that my wife and I are academics. We were non-traditional graduate students, so by the time we got out of school, we were looking at each other like, well, maybe not, you know. So I admitted that, you know, we're childless, but we don't have any cats, so just want to make sure that's very clear. But we've been committed as a couple. My wife's retired in child development and theory at Northern, and I've worked with children the last 40 years, especially starting with my elementary degree. So it was just so exciting to hear so many things that are going on in that school. As I said to my wife, I said, she was lamenting about the barn still, you know, but I said, no, but it's worth it. I mean, look at all the things they're doing here. So I was really enthused and just thinking about some of the things that I miss not knowing what's going on in that school. And I'm just really excited to know that we have such a jewel, I'll put it, in our neighborhood, so to speak. So just live 2 houses down from the bus stop. I've been watching all this over the years, but I'm just really great to see what I can do this year to be more involved in this.
So thank you. Jackie?
Yes, I also attended the Fabian PTO meeting last week. It was good to be back in the school. My 2 daughters went there, so hearing about some of the new things that they do and some of the things that they had done when we were students there. So it was fun to be there. Also was able to attend both of the football games that have been at home this year. I really enjoyed the 8th grade band night last week. It was fun to see them out there. I'm sure it was a thrill for them to go out on the field and actually march with the band and play their Smoke on the Water song. But yeah, the cheerleaders, the dance team.
I didn't think that was a color.
It was a theme of color or color in the name of the band.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was a fun night and looking forward to
Deep Purple, the group.
yeah.
Deep
Purple.
There you go.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. So that was fun. We have a technology task force meeting coming up later this month. Believe it or not, homecoming's coming soon, so that's another exciting week. So yeah, looking forward to that.
Thank you. I went to the football game, enjoyed it thoroughly. Got a cold, but that's okay.
For the football game?
It was chill, it was a little chilly.
I don't know. I can't explain it. Maybe I was yelling too much. That could be. In any case, lots of good things, as you can hear about, and I won't beat anything to death, but this is a dynamic district, and we are working and going places to make education as positive and wonderful for the kids of the district and all of us in the ultimate.
I had nothing new. I was traveling, so I missed my theater club booster, so sorry about that.
It's okay.
I don't have too much. Like Jackie, will be attending the Technology Task Force meeting later this month. I have a couple PTO meetings on the calendar to attend I'm looking forward to. I really enjoyed the dual credit presentation tonight. I'm a college professor, so hearing about those opportunities for our students to continue or to get that excitement this early on and then bridge that into their schedules and the lowering the cost of tuition and the mention of you start your college career with a 4.0 potentially, like that's really exciting. And I would be intrigued to learn more about that conversation, happy to contribute or participate in those conversations because I think that's such a cool opportunity. I grew up in rural Wisconsin. I had none of those opportunities. So if we can grow that and continue, I think that's really amazing. And yeah, I echo what everybody said. I think there's a lot of great things happening. And school year's off to a great start.
So yeah, going last in this is the best because you kind of echo what everyone else says.
What
so.
she said.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right. So I don't have anything much more to add in terms of what everyone said. Was able to get to back to school night as well, and I think in the ones that I attended, it was apparent that the focus on the cell phone was and the smart devices was very apparent, and I was thankful for that. I think the other thing, in addition to that this was a good reminder for at least for me, and hopefully for the rest of the school board. And I was telling Andy that this is a good reminder of our role as a school board of remaining on the balcony, setting policy, and then having smart people like Andy and the district administration to enforce however they feel is appropriate on the dance floor, right? And so just that reminder of kind of staying on the balcony. And then if there's issues that do come up in terms of, hey, you know what, this policy might not be the best for what we need in our buildings, then that comes up to us and we can reevaluate and things like that. So I think that was just a good reminder for me, at least, of being on the balcony versus on the dance floor. Okay, so football game, awesome. I think the thing that came to my mind as I was watching the games and the dancing and the cheerleading and all the other things, the band, is excited about the tradition of excellence again coming, because I think we're going to have a lot of that again this year, and so looking forward to having a lot of those students come to our board meeting to be recognized for being excellent again. and that goes for all the fall activities. Thankful for the dual credit information. I think that was eye-opening for me, just because just always been the AP track has kind of always been the way that I've always thought about obtaining college credit, you could say, or advancement in terms of trying to graduate college early. And so the dual credit information was awesome. So looking forward to hearing more information on how we can incorporate that track as well. Sorry. And I think the other thing that isn't just is more personal than anything else is the even though that so for my daughter, the amount of credits where she can graduate early, but in conversations that she's having as a freshman with her academic advisor in the university, it's interesting because while you would think that the university would not want that because they're losing a semester or a year or whatever it might be with the credits, they're actually promoting different avenues of utilization to keep the students in for 4 years, right? So they're saying, hey, Minzy, why don't you look at a double major, right? So you have all these awesome credits, and so you can maybe get another, or spend a semester abroad and learn more about culture, take a little less credits and spend a semester abroad. So things like that they're doing. So it's not that the university is losing money because they're graduating early. It's more about, giving more opportunity to the students. So I thought that was really awesome. So anyway, it ties in really nicely to the dual credit and the AP and all that stuff. So anyway, that's it.
Thank you, Dan. 2 last items on behalf of the entire board. I got a thank you note from some parents who, probably this is really more for Andy, but we helped resolve an issue of theirs. And Brenda Shorey, who is not here anymore apparently, thank you to her for running the article about the meritorious management award that the entire board received. And thanks to Jackie for her part in preparing that application. We're all very pleased with that. There are no notices or announcements. The last item, number 13, would anybody care to act on that?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Call the vote. We're done?
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? Okay.
All right.
Thank you all for your attendance.
Thank you.